for 2. Monstars trail by 1. 2 minutes remaining. Boom!
Dude, what are you doing?
I'm playing Space Jam on PS1.
Why?
I don't even know. I just put this game on because I was bored. But now that I think about it, this game is actually really bad.
Well, a lot of games based on movies end up sucking, so it's not really something to be surprised about.
I got an idea for a video!
I'm way ahead of you. I'm already editing the video.
This is our top 8 worst games based off of movies. Because we never do top 8 lists.
Back to the Future, the 1985 film of time travel, comedy, and romance. The 1989 NES game of collecting clocks, avoiding things, and constantly running. First of all, this game isn't that bad. Yeah, it's not great, but it's a lot better than the rest of the games on this list. The worst element is that there are only so many clocks you can collect before it actually gets boring. Honestly, it's kinda guilty pleasure for me. It's just a dumb arcade race against the clock. No pun intended. Type of game. It really has nothing to do with the movie except for the cafe levels.
Swing!
Yep, it's Wayne's World. Mike Myers as the stereotypical rock nerd with his sidekick Garth, who both present a cheesy cable show. How could you make a game from the storyline? You couldn't. So instead, Wayne must rescue Garth from a purple alien. The closest thing to an alien in the movie was a T-1000, but that's more of a shape-shifting android assassin. The Super Nintendo version of this game has Wayne using a guitar as a weapon, which I guess kinda makes sense. It really has nothing to do with the movie, other than every once in a while, Wayne says a pointless quote from the movie, and that's it. This doesn't happen once or twice. It happens each time the player moves on to a new level, gets hit, or does something. That's also paired with a super annoying music loop and terrible character designs that make everyone look like digital bobbleheads.
Isaac, there's only been retro games on here so far. What about modern games?
How about this one?
What game is that?
This is Spider-Man 3, based off that terrible movie with the guy from that 70s show.
Good thing I'm not reviewing it.
But you are. No!
This game is worse than the movie.
How do you translate a Happy Madison comedy in which Adam Sandler plays the devil's son to a video game? Make it a Game Boy Color platformer, obviously. While the game was obviously intended for adolescents, the simplicity of the gameplay is more appropriate to younger gamers, who wouldn't even be able to buy this teen-rated game. Adam Sandler's comedy rarely translates that great on screen, so I wonder why anyone thought that it would translate that well into a Game Boy Color title. A mix of 14 boring platforming levels and 5 frustrating minigames. It's hard to imagine who they actually wanted their demographic to be. At least they didn't make a Jack and Jill game.
You probably guessed that this was gonna be number 1, didn't you? Well, well it's not, so stop talking to me. This is possibly the one that started it all. E.T. the Extraterrestrial for the Atari 2600. This game was cobbled together in just over 5 weeks in time for a 1982 Christmas release, but the final game didn't come out that great. The graphics were terrible, people didn't know what they were supposed to be doing, and most of the gameplay involved falling into holes. The game actually sold over 1.5 million copies, but people quickly caught on and the game became so criticized that it pushed Atari into debt and caused the 1983 video game crash. Thanks, E.T. With hundreds of thousands of angry parents returning their disappointing Christmas gifts to retailers, most outlets refused to carry games again. But the question remains, what do you do with hundreds of thousands of unplayable video games? Dump them into a landfill somewhere in New Mexico. Obviously.
Okay, I'm just gonna summarize this game in 3 sentences. You play as one of the camp's counselors that must track down Jason Voorhees before he kills all of your friends and other campers. The controls are horrible, the music is repetitive, and the game just isn't that fun.
What do you get when you cross 1992's Mortal Kombat and an average superhero movie? Batman Forever for the Super Nintendo. Aside from having horrible controls, cheesy Mortal Kombat graphics, and grainy backgrounds, this game just is not fun. The graphics really distract from the gameplay and the controls are confusing. I mean, how do you mess up with a controller like this? And the enemies take too long to defeat. Also, the music just gets really annoying. They took the realistic character sprites from Mortal Kombat, and it just does not fit into a Batman game. The controls are a mess with complicated button combinations just to do simple tasks. Overall, this game is just really cheesy looking. The enemies have very comical-like names like Big Bad Bob or Long-Armed Mark.
This game takes Robin Harris's animated comedy and pulls a Bill Cosby on it, turning a laugh into a tragedy out of nowhere. As you start the game, you're assaulted by park employees who refuse to die. It also takes 35 tedious hits to bring each one down, and you can't even move on until they're both defeated. This game is just annoying. Every level is basically the same, time limit constantly runs out, and dying always means starting back at the very beginning. Like most other games on this list, it comes with no imagination, sense, or purpose.
Well, that is our top 8 worst of the worst games based off of movies. What do you guys think? Are there any that I missed? Do you actually like some of these? Well, you can comment. I don't control your life, but you can. You can also subscribe. There's also a button for that, isn't there? Yeah, it's right down there somewhere. Peace.
Yeah, get some taters,
Yeah!
Hey, cholos.